Hello and welcome to another episode of What's Inside. Today we're looking at Cthulhu Wars Sleeper expansion. You do need the core box for Cthulhu Wars to play, but this is just a new faction. And this one gives us the orange faction. So what's in the box, you say? Well, that's a good question. It contains Rulebook, Faction Sheet, 6 unique spell books, 18 miniatures including Sathogua, something like that, 6 Alkalite Cultists, 2 Wizards, 3 Serpent Men, 4 Formless Spawn, Power Doom tokens. So, a usual unpronounceable fake name that isn't a real word just to make me mad. But this one retails for about $50, ages 14 and up, put out by Petersen Games. So let's open this up and see what's inside. Now this is supposed to be a pretty interesting one to play, so let's read the card. I haven't read much about this faction. I just heard it was interesting and that it changes gameplay, but haven't really looked into it beyond that. I like to be surprised. Alright, so here's our rulebook. It's the Omega Edition, of course, because it was through the Kickstarter. And as usual, you've got your list of contents, which I'm a big fan of. And it's got scary art. Most of the books are art, but they have to give you something with the rules addendum, and these are a little bit more interesting to look at. So we've got some FAQ, and that's about it. It's a little over 10 pages, but it's nice to get. And here we've got our cardstock faction sheet, spell books. One of them popped out with the token and the minis. So we'll adjust the camera and we'll get a better look at these. Alright, so let's read the faction sheet first. Unique ability is Death from Below, Doom Phase. Place your lowest cost monster from your pool to any area containing any of your units. Okay, that's pretty cool. Alkalites, and then there's Wizards. Neither of them have combat value, both cost 1. Serpent Man cost 2, combat 1. Formless Spawn, there's 4 of those, cost of 3, combat question mark. Combat, roll 1 die per Formless Spawn and Cthulhu on the map, i.e. if you have 2 Formless Spawn in play, each roll 2 dice. If Cthulhu were also in play, you each would roll 3 dice. Okay, so to summon Cthulhu, number 1, you must have a Formless Spawn on the map. 2, pay 8 power. Place Cthulhu in an area with the Formless Spawn. Combat equals the opponent's current power or 2, whichever is greater. Lethargy, action costs 0. If Cthulhu is in play, do nothing. This counts as an action. Wow, okay. To get the spell books, this group has the little serpent looking symbol, by the way. Spellbooks, number 1, as your actions spend 3 power, each other player gains 1 power. Number 2, as your actions spend 3 power, select another player who gains 3 power. These are awful. Third option, as your actions spend 3 power, each other player loses 1 power. Fourth option, roll 6 or more combat dice in a single battle. Fifth option, perform a ritual of annihilation. And lastly, awaken Cthulhu. So let's look at the spellbooks. On the back it is orange, and it has the faction symbol. Don't forget not to throw this part away, you need that. Alright, first one, Burrow, ongoing. After a move action in which you spend 2 or more power moving units, regain 1 power. Energy Nexus, ongoing. Just before a battle occurs in an area containing a wizard, you may take 1 action that originates in the area for normal power cost. When you finish the action, the battle proceeds, starting with the pre-battle spellbooks and abilities. Capture monster. Action cost 1. Cthulhu can capture enemy monsters in the same manner as cultists are captured. They are sacrificed for 1 power in the next gather power phase. Demand sacrifice. Pre-battle. If Cthulhu is in play, your enemy chooses one of the following options before a battle with you. Number 1, you gain an Elder Sign. Or 2, all their kill results count as pains on your units in the battle. That's pretty good. Ancient Sorcery. Action cost 1. Remove a Serpent Man from the map and place him on an enemy faction card. Until the next Doom phase, you have access to that faction's unique ability. During the Doom phase, gain 1 power and place the Serpent Man in any area. If the unique ability mentions a faction's Great Old One, it is considered to also include Cthulhu. Alright, that's pretty fun. Cursed Slumber. Action cost 1. Remove your controlled gate and its cultist from the map and place it in your on your faction card. This gate and cultist still provide power and doom points, but are immune to enemy abilities. As an action cost as a cost 1 action, return the gate and cultist to any area lacking a gate. You may only have 1 gate on your faction card at a time. Okay, so that lets you like move your gate here and then claim an unclaimed one, so you're basically just moving around. That's pretty cool. Alright. So, let's look at these minis. We'll start with the Alkalites. Yep, they look the same as just about everybody else. The only ones that are different are Chocho. So they look like all the other cultists. Then we've got which ones are which? Wizards. There's only 2 of these, but they're really cool looking minis. I don't know how well that's going to show up on camera, but it's a guy holding an open mouth monster. I can't tell. Is he riding that? Yes, it looks like he is riding it, or it's coming out of his crotch. I can't tell which, but it looks like he's riding it. He's holding on to the open mouth, and then there's some feet next to him, and you got these big wings and a tail behind him. The wings actually do have some texturing to them, so that if you painted them up, you could actually have this like cool looking like ripples in the wing, almost like flesh texturing. It's pretty cool. It doesn't show up real well on the model. I don't know how well it's showing up on camera, probably not very well, but it looks really cool when you see it in the right lighting. But the mini looks really good, and I've got lighting off to the side here from the overhead, so it actually highlights this a little better, but in overhead direct lighting coming right down on it, you're not going to see it as well. So that is a really cool looking mini. Then we've got our Serpent Men, which they look like Serpent Men. They've got their hands together like maniacal supervillains from the 70s or something. They vaguely remind me of the what are they called? The guys from Stargate that have the serpent helmets and stuff like that. Not the Jaffa, but the actual guys that were posing as gods. So yeah, real cool looking mini. The robes have a lot of detailing on them. Yeah, so far this faction looks really cool. Then we've got the Formless Spawn, which are pretty formless, mostly tentacles. He's got a big sketchy mouth up here with lots of teeth, and lots of different tentacles coming around in here. And yeah, it looks like a big mass of tentacles and teeth, basically. Pretty cool looking. And then Cthulhu is this big, heavy, huge mini. Boom. Like, here is a regular cultist. just your chode culty guy and Cthulhu. It's a real heavy mini. His head is a separate piece, but otherwise it looks like it's just, oh no, this arm might be glued on and this one. So the arms are probably all glued on. Can't really tell where I'm sitting from them, but the fur is very detailed. A lot of little marks there. So they actually put a lot of work into that, because that had to take hours to sculpt. And all these like buboes on him, you can paint those all different colors. And the rock that he's climbing on, or out of, he's got some jelly rolls here. So he might need a mobility scooter, but he's a big dude, and he's really scary looking. He's got 4 arms, so that's a real heavy mini. Probably be a real good one to paint. But yeah, I'm real impressed with this faction as far as the look goes. They look really cool. But that's the sleeper faction. I think they might be really tough to play, because some of this stuff really does give your enemy a lot of things, like extra power and stuff like that, but it could be a lot of fun. It's a little bit more of a strategic faction, I think. But that is what is inside the faction box for Cthulhu Wars Sleeper, put out by Petersen Games. That's going to do it for this episode. As always, thank you for watching, and we hope to see you on the next episode of What's Inside.